So you want to know how much fighters actually get paid? I'll tell you. Okay, so I recently did a question and answer at the MMA community, and it seems like the number one question I'm getting over and over is, how much do fighters actually get paid? They want to know how much money they get to keep after the promotion gives them a check. Who are they giving their money out to? Is it going to trainers? Is it going to gyms? Is it going to the manager, etc.? I'm going to do a short breakdown today of how that kind of typically works out. Quick disclaimer, these arrangements can change drastically. Okay, so what one fighter might be paying, another fighter could be paying something completely different. Fighters have a lot of latitude in how they separate their services. Every gym and every manager kind of do things a little bit differently. So these agreements are not going to be static. They're not going to be the same. This is just going to be a general thing with general numbers, and hopefully it gives you an idea of kind of how to think about fighter pay breakdown rather than seeing these idiots on the internet.
All right, guys, step into my office. Let's try to break this down. So if you're going to become a fighter, you're not just Joe Blow anymore, not on a professional level. You are now Joe Blow Inc. Okay, so when we do this breakdown, I want to think of it like a business, because that's how you should be approaching your fighting career. Okay, so let's say you have the ability, or Joe Blow has the ability, to go ahead and make $100,000 for his next fight. That's a big amount. Okay, so that's not something that every fighter starting out is going to get. That's going to be for an established fighter, but that's his gross. Okay, so the $100,000 just doesn't come as a one big package normally. Normally that purse is broken into two categories. Okay, you will get half of it, which is $50,000 for showing up, for hitting the scale on weight and meeting your contractual obligation of the promotion. You'll get $50,000 more if you win. All right, so that's kind of how it gets split up. So out of that, now you got expenses as Joe Blow Inc., right? You just didn't show up and get all that money for nothing. So let's say 10% goes to your gym or your camp related expenses, and you got 15% going out to your management, right? And everything that they're going to do for you. Okay, those expenses, don't just look at them like not business expenses. Look at it as overhead. Look at it as operating expenses. Every single corporation or business is going to have these. You can't just go in there thinking there's no cost of doing business. So under this, the gym would be entitled to $5,000 for showing, and the manager would get $7,500 if you just show and you don't win. If you do win, gym's going to get $10K, and the manager would get $15K. All right, and you might be thinking to yourself, why do they get so much money? Every time that I see the internet explode, all the internet dorks going mad over this, is because they sit there and they go, man, he got paid $50,000. He only got to keep $37,500, or he only got to keep $75,000. And how do they even survive? He's gonna have to pay taxes on that. Well, yeah, everybody does. So this is the reason why people just don't give up portions of their income for no reason. So let's try to break that down and clarify, all the good that goes into those expenses. Okay, for one, these guys, whether they're the gym or the manager, are providing direct services to you. Okay, these are services that you would individually have to parse out and pay for directly if they weren't giving them to you. Okay,
so when I'm talking about direct services, I'm talking about every single thing that the fighter would have to pay for individually if he wasn't getting it directly from the sources that we've already mentioned, the gym or his management team. Okay, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about all the skill training, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, boxing, etc. That's all being covered by his gym. They're all providing that for him. Okay, as soon as he makes the MMA fight team, he's part of this elite group that gets to all train together. That's important because not only is he getting access to now world-class trainers who are working with him individually on his fights, but he's also getting access to world-class training partners, all right? So think about it. If you're at AKA and you're training with Daniel Cormier and Khabib Nurmagomedov and Luke Rockhold, or you're at Alliance in San Diego and you're training with Dominic Cruz and Mr. Wonderful and all that stuff, or you're at the training lab and you're training with TJ, Cub Swanson, Juan Archuleta, Spike Carlisle, etc. How much would you have to pay as an individual to get a private lesson from one of them? Okay, a lot of money. You can times that by 3 times a week for the rest of the year. That's just giving you kind of an idea of how much you would get just for access to that kind of environment. Same is true with the management. Okay, you're getting your legal representation covered all year long. You're getting your contracts, basically your publicist work, your social media training, everything behind the scenes, okay? From your medical compliance to like how you feel, all interactions with the promotion are being done by the management team. That's a lot of hours for basically a rate that you're not able to pay until much later on in your career, okay? So keep that in mind.
There's also trade services that they're providing through their affiliates and people they work with, and your manager just setting those deals up for you.
All right, what am I talking about? I'm talking about you being provided gear, supplements, chiropractic care, cryotherapy, compression therapy, usually meal prep services. A lot of things like this could go into this category, and those things can add up to tens of thousands of dollars per year in your benefit.
Those deals are going to get, you're going to get value and services that would cost you a lot of money out of pocket for free, basically, okay? And they're going to be providing these to you the minute you're in a fight camp or the minute you get your manager. And they might have to do that for 5 to 7 years before you ever get a payout of $100,000 or anything close to it. So they're going to be basically fronting that money for your career and that time for your career without seeing any payout for a long time. So this is not, just some charity event we're running here. Every business is trying to make a living. Also, your manager can create sources of secondary income for you, okay? So what those can do is add a lot more money into your pocket while you're in camp, okay?
Okay, so what are the secondary income? They are your paid sponsorships. They're going to be your money for a clothing deal, endorsement opportunities, licensing. You might pick up a commentary job. You might do seminars. They're going to be opportunities to create income based off your MMA career that your manager is going to try to get for you throughout the year. And this kind of money can be factored into your purse split, but not directly, if that makes sense.
So those are going to come in the form, and let's just say in the small level, that they don't provide much, but you get about $10,000 per fight. Every 4 months, you're getting an extra 10 grand from those secondary income sources. Okay, so you can add that directly to what you're making off your split. So that would be $47,500 now. If you lose, that's the kind of income you made for that time period. And if you won, now you're making not 75, 85,000, right? And that's not bad. Now, these are not isolation. You're not going to just fight one time a year, hopefully. Normally, you're going to fight around 3 times a year, okay? So all these amounts that we're thinking of from the very beginning, we're going to go ahead and put those times 3, because that's what we can expect. We can expect to fight around 3 times a year. So let's run the numbers off that. So if you lose all year long, you don't have a good year, and you're about to get cut, probably, you would still have got $142,500 after your expenses. If you had a great year, now you just got $255,000, okay? Now from here, this is the key part. This is where Joe Blow Inc. is going to go ahead and pay the athlete, right? So this is where Joe gets paid. Out of that, let's say he needs $100,000 to live the kind of lifestyle that he's just accustomed to, okay? So out of both of those amounts, Joe Blow gets paid. That's what he wants to make. That's what he needs to live off of. So Joe Blow Inc. at the end of the day is going to have, its tax liability and everything for either $42,500 or $155,000, which it can use to invest, to put in its 401k, to pay out to its shareholders, to get rental income, to do other investments, okay? Because normally you're going to be somewhere in the middle. You're not going to be at $42,500. You might not be at $155,000. You're going to be somewhere in the middle, but you can move that forward into creating what would there be ancillary income. You can put those in other sources, and that'll drive, your income away from just directly fighting, okay? And we can do the same thing for your gym and your manager up here, okay? So over the course of the year, if you lost the whole thing, your gym would be entitled to 15 grand. your manager would get $22,500. If you won all year, your gym's going to receive $30,000 and your manager is going to get $45,000. And again, they're not making it up to live off of, but they're hoping that your presence will drive future clients to their base and help them get money that way. All right?
Okay, so hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity on why purses are split the way they are and why fighters would pay out what they do. If you have any more questions or would like to hear about anything else that I might be able to give insight on, leave it in the comments and I'll try to get back to you guys soon. And I'll be trying to put out another video within the week, so stay tuned.